The objective of this training package is to increase the safety awareness of everyone working on tankers. It is intended to be complementary to your company's safety management systems, which will take priority over the content of this training package. Everyone who works on tankers carrying products or crude oil is aware of the hazardous nature of their cargo. To manage and minimize the risks, your company will have detailed procedures for all routine operations contained in the ship's manuals. These are based on experience, safety considerations, and industry standards. It is essential that these procedures are followed. Your main defense against injury is keeping strictly to these procedures. It's important that, in accord with the ISM code, these procedures should be under continual review. If anyone sees any safety-related problem or believes that there is a better way to carry out any procedure, they should discuss it during the safety committee meetings or report it to a senior officer. For any given task, it's possible that there will be several procedures, depending on the circumstances on board. Always be certain that the procedure chosen matches the situation on board. However, if anyone suggests a shortcut or that there is no need to follow the established procedures, say no immediately and tell a senior officer or the master. Throughout an operation, everyone should keep alert to safety and security issues. Keep your eyes open and be aware of safety at all times. This is especially important during hazardous operations. One of these is entry to a confined space. There are 4 main hazards. First, fire or explosion. Then, suffocation due to lack of oxygen. Third, poisoning due to hydrocarbon vapor. And lastly, poisoning by any other toxic substances in the atmosphere of the confined space. The margin for error is very small. You can survive weeks without food, days without water, but only a few minutes without oxygen and only a few seconds in a toxic hydrocarbon atmosphere. Any confined space on board which is not normally occupied should only be entered by following your company's procedures. These will include the most thorough checks and tests. The entry procedure will include mechanical venting of the space before and during entry. There will be checking of the oxygen and hydrocarbon gas levels before and during entry. Always ensure gas level measuring equipment is properly calibrated before using it. And there will be an entry permit or permit to work that will include the requirements for the safety precautions. This will be signed by the appropriate officer. During the entry, there will be a watch kept at the entry site with a radio, breathing apparatus, resuscitation equipment, and trained personnel ready for entry in case of an emergency. There will be continual mechanical ventilation of the space, and there will be regular monitoring of oxygen and hydrocarbon gas levels. The entry team inside the confined space must always be on their guard. For even when gas tests have shown a tank atmosphere to be safe, there could still be undetected pockets of gas. In some tanks, rust or paint scale may become detached and release fresh vapours. Always remember that it is a potentially fatal mistake to rush into a confined space to save a colleague. You are likely to join them as a casualty. Even though the instinct to save a fellow crew member is understandable, do not enter. It's always dangerous to enter without following full safety precautions. Never rely on your nose or on your luck. A product carrier was cleaning tanks before taking on the next cargo. To speed up the cleaning process, the deck cadet was told to enter a tank by the bosun. The bosun believed the tank was properly vented, but did not check the gas levels. When the cadet did not come out, the bosun went in to rescue him. When he did not come out either, the AB immediately raised the alarm. Both men were quickly retrieved from the top platform by the emergency party using breathing apparatus. Both were taken to hospital. On this occasion, both survived. On any tanker, there is the risk of cargo vapor being present on deck, especially during cargo operations. So always be on the alert, assuming that vapors could be there. They shouldn't be there, and if you can smell them, there's something wrong. Remember that you will only be able to smell them properly for a brief time, as the nose quickly becomes desensitized to them. Cargo vapor can get anywhere. Often heavier than air, it can move around the structures of the ship. It's difficult to predict where it will go. These vapors are flammable and toxic, and you must avoid breathing them. Seek shelter and immediately inform a senior officer or the master. Hydrogen sulfide is a particular risk, as your nose will quickly lose sensitivity to its smell, and it can kill. The toxicity of the vapors is the main reason why closed ullaging procedures are standard practice. Petroleum cargoes are poisonous, so if any gets on your skin, wash it off immediately. Always keep to the proper procedures. Always wear the correct PPE. It's important to keep alert and to understand your cargo. If you are carrying a cargo you are not familiar with, for your own safety, you must check the cargo's data sheets to find out what hazards are associated with it. These sheets must always be available in or near the cargo control room. One of the greatest risks to a ship is fire. Safety procedures must be in place to ensure that the risk of it occurring is minimized. These procedures will seek to eliminate one or more sides of the fire triangle. Three things are essential for a fire. First, fuel. On tankers, the cargo or its vapor. Second, oxygen from the air. And thirdly, heat or a source of ignition. Removing any one side will prevent a fire. One of the most important preventative measures is ensuring that there is no source of ignition. An obvious source of ignition is smoking materials. The ship is a no-smoking area, with only designated areas where smoking is permitted. Every crew member must ensure that all visitors to the ship are fully aware of the no-smoking regulations. Only safety matches are permitted, and these must be left in the smoking areas. No cigarette lighters are allowed on board. All cigarettes must be properly put out. It's good practice to leave cigarette packets in the smoking areas during cargo operations, as they can absorb cargo vapors. Most importantly, the designated areas are the only areas where smoking is permitted. Never be tempted to have a quick smoke outside the designated smoking area. Never take that kind of risk with your own life or those of your shipmates. A very important potential source of sparks is portable equipment. Take care in handling all metal tools, as they can produce a spark when dropped. Electronic equipment can also produce a spark. To control this hazard and to reduce this risk, only intrinsically safe equipment must be used on deck and in tanks. It's essential to check that this equipment is in good condition and that the insulation is intact before using it. The requirement for intrinsically safe equipment means that consumer electrical products that may be used in the accommodation must never be used on deck. This includes cameras, domestic radios, iPods, CD players, and most importantly, mobile or cellular phones. All visitors to the ship must be processed according to ISPS procedures. They must show photographic identification, be logged in, given personal protective equipment, PPE, and any mobile phones they are carrying must be switched off until they are in the accommodation. Remember that vapor may be found in the most unexpected places, so never take any electrical equipment on deck that is not intrinsically safe. Another possible source of ignition is sparks generated by the discharge of static electricity. If correct procedures are not followed, static charges can build up by pumping cargoes, tank washing, and tank steaming. If an unearthed metal object is put into a tank carrying a static charge, a spark can result. So always make certain that ullaging tapes are properly earthed if tank washing has taken place recently. To prevent the build-up of static electrical charge, always follow the correct procedures. Hot work is a further potential source of ignition. All hot work must conform precisely to the permit to work issued for it. This will include details of any special safety precautions and also the time limits of the permit. Never exceed the specified time. Maintenance and repair work was being carried out on a product tanker at anchor. Extensive welding needed to be done to the slop tanks. These were gas-freed and correct procedures followed to produce a hot work permit. It was later decided to make some adjustments to gratings near the manifold. No hot work permit was obtained. The gratings were to be carried aft and the hot work done in the safe area. Bad weather delayed the work. To save time, the inexperienced shore crew decided to work on the gratings at the manifold. The result was a serious explosion in which all 4 of the welding crew lost their lives. You must follow all hot work permit restrictions to the letter, even if it means more time and effort. Personnel should always keep a constant lookout for any oil spill or leaks. even a small spill can be a major hazard. As well as polluting, it can lead to fire, breathing problems, and slips and falls. Always keep hold of rails on gangways and stairs. Always wear the right protective equipment, boots, hard hats, eye protection, coverall and gloves. Your protective clothing is your last line of defense against personal injuries. Everyone knows that the ship can roll and pitch at sea. Even alongside, rapid discharge and loading rates or tidal flow can alter the ship's situation and cause movement of ropes and gangways. So always keep one hand free to hold on. The old saying of one hand for the ship and one for yourself still holds true when moving about a ship. Your first line of defense against injuries are the procedures and checklists in your ship's safety management systems. So, it's vital to keep to the proper procedures at all times. If any of the provisions cannot be met, then the task must be postponed until they can be. Never be tempted to cut corners to save time or money. It's not worth risking an accident. It's important to realize that accidents don't just happen. They are caused. They are caused when people believe that the rules and company procedures don't apply to them. They are caused when people think safety is someone else's responsibility. Everyone wants to be in good health at the end of the working day. Everyone wants to earn a living without suffering injury. For the sake of yourself and your family, for the sake of your shipmates, for the sake of the ship, and for the sake of the company, you must put safety first in everything you do on board.